Also, I'd like to say thanks for Matthias and Mark, who already kind of set the stage and talked very nicely about different features of Terraform and Terraform testing, which I think is extremely important. Another extremely important topic, which is going to be hitting more and more companies in the years to come, is compliance. So, and my talk is going to go through some of these aspects, and I will try to bring some information to help you to succeed in the near future. As Tom already mentioned, I've been with Terraform for a pretty long time. It's already since 2015, a little bit more, and it will be 10 years. Yeah, I know it's too long. Over this period, I was working with different open source projects. Some of projects you probably know or maybe even use. Terraform AWS modules is one of these. Pre-commit Terraform, serverless TF, and terraformbestpractices.com. And yeah, and one more project which I will be covering later today is called compliance.tf, which is currently in development. Also, I like to have live streams every Friday where I do some interviews with creators, review different tools related for Terraform developers, and I do live coding. So join me on Friday, and yeah, feel free to ask questions there. Also, every Wednesday I send Terraform weekly newsletter where I gather information from the internet, from different sources, and I filter it if I think it is relevant for a wide audience, or I think it's pretty cool content. Also, serverless TF and Terraform AWS modules, for those who don't know, crossed more than 500 million provisions over this period of time. It's a collection of more than 50 open source modules supported by the community. And yeah, I just cannot be more excited by sharing this fact. And also, big thanks to sponsors and for people who support me over this period of time. It wouldn't be just possible to do without your support. So thank you very much for that. So agenda for the talk is pretty straightforward. And I wanted to talk about compliance, and I want to start with just explaining what is compliance. Like overall, it's not going to be really rocket science, and I'm not claiming that I'm big experts in compliance, and like I don't have, I don't have even a suit, as you can see. So I'm definitely not traditional compliance person who you may associate with. So after that, I will look and walk through a compliance process, and I will demonstrate how implementation of required compliance controls can happen. Again, this demonstration is extremely small subset of what you can read in different blog posts, documentation, videos. I will try to make the point of where you guys will have to focus in the years to come. So compliance, as some of you may have observed my experience from the past, I like to simplify things. Sometimes I like to oversimplify things just to understand what exactly it is. So compliance is maybe like a strong word, or maybe you think like, oh my God, it's something secure, something hard. But at the end of the day, what I believe is compliance is just the way to prove that clients can trust your company with their data. So there has to be a way for you to say that, please provide your details or your data to our company, and we will safely and secure operate it, and we'll store it according to all regulation and all rules. So that's pretty much it. This is like the most important definition of compliance which I could come up with. And also, I like to think about compliance as a shared responsibility. If we are looking into shared responsibility model by AWS, there are two things there. One is that AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud itself. So they take care of software, hardware, global infrastructure, how they secure it physically, and so on. While customers are required to take care about things which they put into the cloud. So they are responsible for security in the cloud. So primarily their responsibility is customer data, taking care of different platforms and applications, controlling access between different systems, encryption, and so on. So this is extremely important to understand that you should be focusing on just side which is related to you, what you put in the cloud. Also, another aspect which is important to understand that compliance framework. Well, compliance framework is a set of structured guidelines. Think about it as some sort of industry standards or some internal policies which you will have to satisfy. Also, compliance framework focus on managing risk and improving security. In addition, it involves the implementation of security controls, continuous monitoring, and overall documenting and confirming that your organization meeting legal and regulatory obligations. Compliance frameworks also vary by industry and different data type, and it has different operational efficiency. So, well, you may think like which one to choose. You probably already know that there are a lot of them because there are many different industries and many different type of data you may put in the cloud and so on. There are a lot of them. I'd like to highlight just 4 of them, which I believe most of us, especially in Europe, will have to deal. And it's also not just European specific things. So the first one, which to my mind is very popular and very straightforward to think about, is called the CIS, which is Center for Internet Security and Controls. These controls are very, very generic, and the goals of these controls is to help you to establish common protection against common cyber threats. So think about this as something what no matter what you're going to do, is just good to do and good to implement. In most cases, they're very straightforward and they don't have a lot of flexibility. So it's like, just do this one, encrypt everything, put some controls around, and you will be good to go. Of course, it's oversimplification, but you get the point. Another one, which you probably have seen already very many times, just because it is fashion, I would say, people are talking about SOC 2 compliance. SOC 2 compliant is very generic and very popular because it is kind of standard for service provider who operate customer data. So SOC 2 compliance controls are separated into several categories like security, availability, access and integrity, and so on. So you get the point. This is something what you most likely have heard at work and something what you will have to implement and then show to your customers and tell that, hey guys, we are SOC 2 type 2 compliant. And second or third one is GDPR, which is very important for us in EU because it takes care of how personal data of individuals is handled. And one more, which is rather specific to payment industry and credit card processing data, is PCI DSS, which is a set of standards to ensure that all credit card information is secure and it's securely stored and processing is secure and so on. Let's look into how compliance process look like. Right now, we already understand that. Really important to understand that shared responsibility model is a key. then we understand that, well, there are a lot of different applicable regulation and standards which we need to follow. We figure out which compliance framework we want to achieve. Great. Then we need to assess current compliance posture or do so-called gap analysis. There are many different SaaS companies and good solutions by, let's say, AWS Security Hub or AWS Config Conformance Pack, or you can also self-host it and run it yourself. For example, you can use Prowler, or you can use SteamPipe, or you can use Cloud Query. All of these solutions are very good, and they provide large coverage for most of popular compliance frameworks. So once you do this gap analysis, you understand, okay, that's my problems, so let's fix that somehow. So you need to implement these required controls, probably in Terraform, because that's why you are listening to this talk at HashiConf. Not HashiConf, sorry, it's HashiTalks. Yeah, I always confused. And once you implement them, then you probably, I mean, of course, if you have time, you will probably think like, okay, how can I prevent these changes from drifting? So you may think about some sort of auto remediation or notification when something is going out of control and so on. Once this is done, then you perform regular audits and somebody is checking your confirmation that you actually did what you say that you did, and you got it through. Sounds very straightforward, right? You identify, you fix it, and you ask somebody else to fix, or to not fix, to review it. Let's think about how to implement required controls, because, well, this is a talk about Terraform, or it should be about Terraform, and we are all hands in infrastructure as code. So let's look into how to implement required controls. So obviously there are different tools. You may have heard already about Checkov, TFSec, or Terrascan, or Kix. All of these tools are doing different type of things on different level. Some of them are doing it better than another. My personal preference is the one which actually works, which is in this case is Checkov. So once you figure out that, you look into your Terraform configuration code, run the tool of choice, you understand what kind of result this tool provides to you, and you do a remediation step. So you look into the configuration code, you try to figure out what to change, and you somehow apply these changes. Or you can use something what is already compliance ready, and yeah, and you just use it. So on this note, let me go to the code, and I will try to show it here. So this is my sample project. Yeah, this is my project, which is compliance TF demo, where I have one main TF file. I focus specifically on just small piece, which is calling different Terraform modules. No rocket science so far. So let's look into this example. I have a module block for CloudFront. I have another module block for S3, and so on. So this should represent typical project, typical infrastructure as code project, right? So the way how we typically do, of course, we run Terraform init, and lazy to run Terraform, so I write T. Then, as you can imagine, it goes to Terraform registry. It downloads all these modules which we wanted, and that's it. Right? No, again, so far so good, right? I mean, I don't see your questions, but I guess everybody is just saying, yeah, we saw this, we did this 20 times already today. Great. So then you run Checkov just to tell if there are any issues. And Checkov runs, and Checkov identified that, well, there is some fail check. And it says that inside of this CloudFront distribution resource, there is a failure. So you go to your module code, you figure out where exactly it is, and you somehow figure out that, okay, then I need to change this parameter. And you go somehow and write it here, right? How did you figure out that you need to write something here? Because this check doesn't tell you. Well, obviously you need to go to another place, which is Google. So if you search for this check of ID or for text, somehow you may figure out that there should be some remediation step. And luckily, Bridge Crew documentation tells that if you have this resource, then what you need to do is that you need to specify minimum protocol version. So that's what you do. Great. So in this case, the solution was easy. You run checkoff locally. You see that checkoff says that something is not right. You figure out what exactly should be the remediation for such failed check, and you have to apply it. So you go back to your code. You change this one to the value which has to be, and you run checkoff again. And now checkoff should say that everything is fine, all checks passed. Great. So as you can imagine, you will have to do this quite a lot of time. And in many cases, the value which you need to specify here is not just string value. It has to be either fetched from the resource, or maybe Terraform state, or maybe data source. Maybe you need to calculate it somehow, and so on. So it can be quite tedious for some things. If you're lazy enough and you say like, I don't care about this check, I just want to have everything passed, or like I don't want to see any errors, then you can do like I did with S3 module, where I just specify that in this case, I don't care about this check, and for this specific bucket, we don't need to enable all of these things. Like we don't care about login, versioning, and so on. So you can just explicitly specify check of skip and which check to skip. Sounds simple, right? You just need to figure out this. But at some point, you will probably have to fix this anyway if you want to take it through the compliance. Not all of this will have to be fixed, obviously, but many of these things. So that's what you did, right? You found problem, you used module, which is open source and used by many people. Great. So then you fix it somehow. Now your code is great. Now you don't have this failure, and you are one step closer to the compliant. Let's see another one. What if you wouldn't have to even look into Google and figure out how to fix certain things, right? That's exactly what Compliance TF project is doing. All you need to do here is just to specify another source. So if you specify that you want to use a source which is currently using my local ngrok proxy to my local host, but it will be compliance.tf, where all modules are following the same notion as public registry or any other Terraform registry. All you need to do is just to specify where to get it from. And you don't have to do any other changes. So to prove that it works, let me run it now. I have updated source and I run Terraform init. And as you can see, it's downloading this module, CloudFront, from another source. So disregard that it's called differently. It should be called compliance.tf in the near future. But it is essential that you don't have to change anything else in the code. And also, you don't have to fix anything here. So if I run checkoff now, I should see that everything works already. The way how this is implemented internally is that compliance TF takes care of all of this security and compliance related issues, and we fix it there. So all you need to do is just fetch modules from another place, and you will be good to go. Not all compliance things can be fixed like this, but very large part of it can be fixed simply by specifying another source. So on this note, let me go quickly to my probably last slide. Yeah, and say that compliance TF is currently in progress, and it will be hopefully available for many of you in Q1 to this year. And the goal is to make your Terraform modules compliance ready so that we fix your audit gaps in advance. And I think that's pretty much it from me. Yeah, that was my last slide. Thank you very much. I'm here in chat, and you know where to find me. Yeah, thanks for listening, and have a great Hashi Talks.